So hey guys, I'm going to be doing a tutorial for you today, and since this is the first one I'm doing, I would like to start off by showing you how you get the templates. What you would do is you would sign into Kaneva, and then you go to the shop page, and then you would follow the certain links. You would click the links to open them up, and I'm showing you how you're going to get to the templates that you need to download. There are different ones for men, there's different ones for women, and you're going to need all the different ones, plus the ones with skins, preferable to download, because they come in handy more, in order to edit them so that they'll look right once you draw on them. Shirts, pants, dresses, shoes even, for men and for women. And you would download them. I just saved mine to the desktop because it's easier to find that way. And then you want to open your program. I'm using Corel Paint Shop. I know a lot of people use GIMP, but I don't use GIMP. As long as you know the basic, how to use layers, how to use Gaussian blur, I mean, you're going to be good. It's the basic techniques that you would use with any program. You just got to get to know the program that you're using. And what I'm showing you here is I've opened up the one that I've saved. I've saved the long sleeve, tight women's shirt template with the skins. And I'm just going through and I'm deleting the ones that I don't need. I'm not going to need all those. I could have probably deleted most of the skins too, since I make most of my clothes in skin tone 6. I don't really need those, but I kept them on there anyway. You know, sometimes you make something you like, you can just save it as a PSP file and go back and edit it with the different skin tones if you need to. So that's still what I'm doing. You don't need the public template. I mean, it's obvious you can't show boobs. A lot of people would try to get away with risky outfits with nipples showing for some reason. You can't wear that stuff in Kaneva, I'm sorry. That is AP. Alright, so now I'm showing you that's what skin tone 6 looks like. And that's the template you want to save because it has lines on it. It's going to tell you where you need to draw things so that it'll look right. And that's really the only one you need to open right now. So, like I said though, as long as you know how to make layers, because you're going to use a lot of layers in the process of making stuff. You can get up to like probably 20, 30 layers. It depends on how detailed your item of clothing is going to be. Like if you're going to do buttons, you're probably going to do that in a separate layer. If you're going to do a lot of shading and lines, say you're doing like a tuxedo shirt or something, jacket, you're going to have like the lapels. It's going to be complicated. So you're going to have like different layers that are going to have different functions and work together, and they can build up really quickly. So now I'm just picking a setting here for my pen tool. No, that's my paintbrush. Again, all programs have a paintbrush tool you just draw with, so should know how to use that. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add some highlight to the actual skin. Which, I mean, I know I'm making a shirt, so you're not going to see that much skin. Unless you're doing a tank top, a halter top, something that's strapless, you're going to see the skin through that. But I just like adding that extra little touch to my skin because it didn't have any on there already. And this is just a simple where I would put it at. And you could go into more detail, of course. This is just the way that I do it. Pretty simple, basic. I'm still learning too. I'm definitely not an expert, but I've been doing more clothes lately, so I figured I'd help you guys out, just to show you how I do it. Maybe it can give you some tips or tricks on how you might want to do yours, maybe something you didn't think about. So I'm just putting white down there. I'm going to make sure that the luminosity is set. I just find that it works better. It gives it more of a flesh tone look instead of just straight white stripes, even when you blur it out. And I'm going to put it on, I used Gaussian blur. If your program has that, you definitely want to use that. That just spreads the color out, makes it look a lot better. And then I play with the opacity, as you see up on the side. I usually go for about 40 something. You could go lower. Like I said, it depends on the way it looks to you. Like if you think it needs to be darker, some people do darker shading, some people really want it to stand out, some people do very subtle, even more so than what I try to do, so it's a preference. Alright, and then we're going to make a new layer. And I'm making sure that it's on the color that I want. And I want black. So I picked black. And then I'm using the pen tool. As long as your program has a tool that has a function that can make a straight line, that just helps. Because if you're going to try to do it with the paint, it's more freehand, and your lines are not, they're not going to be straight. Whether you have lines or not, like this is a template, it has lines that you can follow, but it's still going to be pretty choppy. I noticed it's just a lot better with the pen tool if you have that function. And this one actually has, if you click in the spot that you like the line to start, and then you click the second part where you want the line to end, and then you move your cursor up, you can actually give it a curve, and that comes in handy. As you see, I'm doing the neckline there, and I could have made it lower or higher. Just a rule of thumb, the necklines don't always line up, especially on the men's, but you just try the best you can, you see what turns out, you'll get the hang of it. So now I'm doing the back. And that is the sleeve. Really funky templates, I have to say. I'm sure I haven't made any clothes on Second Life, I don't play it, but I'm sure their templates are a lot easier to work with. Now when I do these, I usually stop in the middle and I give it a little bit of a curve, because if you go straight across, it never lines up. Okay. And then I'm going to try to start in the middle of that line, and I'm going to go over to the other side, finish it up, give it a little bit more of a curve. And that's where the shirt is going to stop. So you're going to see a little bit of midriff there. Very sexy. Now I'm making a new layer. And gonna pull out my paintbrush again, and I'm coloring in the part of the shirt that I want, and that is black. Yeah. And by the way, I have already recorded this. I didn't know how long it was going to take. It took about, I think the video was like 29 minutes, almost 30, and I cut it up a little bit, but I didn't put voice to it till after, because I didn't know how long it was going to be. I didn't really want to go too detailed on it. It's just going to be pretty basic. Just how to do the necklines and then color it in, and then I'm also going to show you how to do some simple highlighting and shading and some wrinkles to give the shirt a little bit of texture. And I'd like to do more videos like this. Like I have plans to, I'll have this one, this is the women's shirt, and then I'll have the women's pants, and then I'll show you how to do the men's shirt and the men's pants. I don't make dresses and I don't do shoes, so probably won't see videos about those, but and I just hope that the techniques help you. I know I get people asking me all the time, like, oh, you make clothes, you know, how do you do it? And it's so hard to explain. I figured, you know, I'll just try to do a video. Send them to the video and hope that they get some tips from that. Now I'm changing my brush, I think, because yeah, I had the settings wrong on it. The opacity was down, so it was kind of being weird. So I had to set it up so it's nice solid color. still filling it in. And you're going to color all that's inside the lines that you made, which is pretty much your border around the neck and down at the stomach where you want the shirt to stop. And the sleeve. Can't be having any Kaneva nipple showing, I'm telling you. I've seen some crazy stuff being uploaded. But you can't do that. I think a lot of people come from Second Life though, and they're like, oh, you know, they're trying to do the same thing, replicate what they get away with there. I think you get away with a lot more though. Kaneva's way more strict. It's supposed to be adult based, but it's definitely PG. So you gotta be careful on the colors that you do. They can be AP really quickly if you go over the template lines at all, or under rather, for what you should be wearing in public. Okay, what am I doing now? making a new layer, I think. I'm lowering the opacity on it so that I can see. It comes in handy so that you can see the lines, because you want to make something that's over top of it, but if it's a dark color then it's going to get in the way. I think what I'm trying to do is adjust the color. I don't want it black. Yeah, I'm trying to make it lighter, like a gray. Dark, really dark gray. Because it's really hard to see shading if it's solid black, because your shading is going to be black. So you're not going to be able to see it. And to have proper shading, you want white and you want black to work hand in hand, especially on the wrinkles, because you want black under it, white on top, so it looks like it's a proper wrinkle, you know, in fabric. So now I'm checking it to make sure it's all filled in, because you see right there I missed some on the sleeve, because that was before I had my opacity set correctly, and it turned out a little fuzzy. And playing with the sentence too, you can find out some spots that you missed. Sometimes with just the color balance on whatever item that you're making. You can't see it very good until you play with the level of brightness or darkness that's on it, and then you can probably fix it. Okay. Now we are going to use the pen tool again. I'm setting how thick I want the line to be. I went down because I want to have like a seam, because it's a t-shirt. I'm going to have like a seam around the neck and the arms and everything. So I'm trying to line it up just a little bit below where the other line will be, like the first line was that we started. And this is a new layer. See, I used one, but I thought one wasn't going to do it. So I think two. I think I meant to put two, but I didn't. Okay, that works. Now we're doing it on the back. And I'm going to try to record this straight through without any editing, because there is a part at the end I could have probably speeded up or edited, but I didn't. Where I was showing you how to use the warp brush and I didn't like the way it looked, so it was like go back, go back, go back, go back. That happens, you know. That's the good thing about this program. Like I said, I don't use GIMP, so I don't know if it has that, but some programs I notice you can't go back, like hit the back button or undo. You can't do it but so many times, and that's kind of frustrating because you could mess up your whole work. This, I hit undo so many times, it's crazy. So I'm like, oh yeah, this will look good, and I start trying to do it, and I'm like, don't like it. Undo, 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 undo. Okay, what am I doing? I'm gonna I don't know if I just did that or not. I'm duplicating that layer so that I can do another layer, and I always drag it under. And I'm gonna make it blurred so that it'll be shading under those seam lines that I just made. Drag it down to, usually keep it around 2. If you noticed when I was doing this shading on the skin at first and I blurred it out with the Gaussian blur, I put it on about like 7. I'll go anywhere from 7 to 9 depending on how much you want it blurred out. But on seams and things that I want to have just normal shadow highlighting on, shadow mostly, I'll keep it on 2. Sometimes 3, but usually 2 works. It's preference. This is the way I like doing it. You can definitely do it any way that you think looks better. Adjusting the opacity on it. So I didn't want it to be completely like too dark. The same with the actual scene too. You want to be able to see it, but you don't want it to stand out so much that it's like, what is that? Still adjusting it. Now I think we're going to get into doing some dimension, some shading. I've been selected the black and choosing the size, because you don't want it too big because you're going to blur it out with the Gaussian blur. So if you make it too big, it's just going to be like a gray blob. You don't have to be too neat with this, as you can see. This is just where I put where I want the darker color shadow to be, like in the crease of the back on either side there. And then I put some down in the middle of the abdomen. You can go way more crazy with this if you want. Like, I usually don't fool too much with the boobs there, but you can go under them because they'd be darker. Just depends on what kind of stuff you're making. I'm going to blur it out. And yeah, we're going to take this up higher. 7 looks good. And it's still obviously too dark. So, and I set that to luminosity again. It just looks better to me. Now we're going to do the highlight. So we picked white. Then we're just going to go on the outside. I always do like parenthesis type lines there. And then down the center. Sometimes I don't do the arrow, but you can, because I mean you have the shoulder bones there that it's going to hit. That's what I'm doing. And then going straight down. And I'm keeping it on the shirt, you notice, because that's where we want the highlights and the shadow at right now. We already did it on the skin. Make a little dot right there for the arm. We're going to blur it out. And we're still going to take it down some with the opacity because it's way too bright. And now we're going to put a little highlight on the boobs there. Again, set it to luminosity. Blur. I think I kept it on 7, or did I go up higher? A little higher. Now I'm going to pull the shirt color back up so that I can really see how much the dark and the light stand out on the color, so I know how to adjust it. And like I said, I usually keep it around 40, but that always, it depends on what color the shirt is. Sometimes 40 looks good on one color and it doesn't look good on the other, it's too dark, so you just gotta play around with it a lot. Pull the boobs down, they're a little too bright there. Now, what I just did was I duplicated the shirt, the whole shirt, and I pulled it under in a new layer, and then I changed the luminosity, and then I'm going to adjust the color balance to black, and then I'm going to blur it, and that's going to be the shadow under the shirt that makes it look more realistic, like you're wearing the shirt. It's going to have a little bit of shading right underneath the seam on the stomach, and it's going to be some underneath of the arm and a little bit on the chest and the neck there. I'm making it a little bigger so that it'll stand out. And you see right now it looks like dirt. It's like too dark. We're going to have to pull that down, yeah. And I don't know how many layers I got going on right now, but yeah. And that's nothing. This is like a basic shirt template. Like I said, when you get into the more detailed stuff, tons more layers open. Okay, so we did that. Now I'm making another new layer, and we are going to do some wrinkles on the shirt. I'm grabbing my pen tool again to do the lines with, and I'm doing completely random, like just anywhere you think maybe creases would be on an outfit. I usually try to do them like diagonal, not straight across, depending on what it is. Your clothes don't fit you that way. And like I said, it's random, so you don't have to be too like precise about it at this point. Put some on the back there. And put some on the chest. Because this is a tight fitting shirt, so you gotta picture how is a tight fitting shirt like this gonna cleave to your body, and that's where you try to judge on where to put it at. Now we're grabbing the smudge. Most programs should have all these functions that I'm using: the layers, the pen tool, the paintbrush, the smudge, the Gaussian blur. And I'm smoothing the lines out a bit. You don't want them to look too perfect, because that's not the way wrinkles are on your clothes. I'm just smudging them out a bit, making sure the lines at the end aren't like pointy or anything. And as I'll show you later, in what I was talking about before with the warp brush, this program, the Corel Paint Shop, has a warp brush, and I think it's supposed to be the equivalent to what's it, Photoshop or Paint Shop. I always get them confused. Whatever the popular editing software is, has I think a shrink tool, and they're always talking about how people are using that to like edit their pictures, where you kind of like pinch parts on the picture and it makes it smaller or whatever. To me, that's the equivalent of the warp brush, which you can see is actually underneath of the pen tool on my screen. Don't use it that much, but that's what it does. It's kind of warp or pinch them, and once you've done the lines like that, rather than smudge, if you have the option, you could warp it, and that kind of like just moves the lines around a little bit more so that they don't look so perfect. Alright, so now what I'm doing is duplicating those wrinkles that I just did. So I've got 2 sets. And then the second set I'm going to pull under, and I'm going to adjust the color setting so it's black. And then I'm going to pull it underneath of the white lines so that it looks like it's got shadow. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to blur them. Back down to 2. I'm pulling the opacity up on my shirt. I forgot to do that so that I can see what the wrinkles look like. It takes me so long to do things. I don't know if it takes other people that long, but I get confused. I mean, I've been using the program for a while now, but you just have so many layers open. It's just crazy sometimes. Okay, I'm pulling the opacity down there because you want to be able to see them, just like the seam lines, but you don't want them to stand out too much. I think I've just pulled out the warp brush now. I'm like, oh yeah, let's see what that looks like. So this is what it looks like if you use the warp brush. It just kind of pinches it and makes it look wavier. Sometimes it looks good, and I like it, and I do use it, but on this particular shirt, I wasn't liking the effect that it was giving me. I thought the other wrinkles was fine, the way that they were. So I'm going to go on an undo rampage now. The thing is that I was going to speed this up or edit it out, but no. I make mistakes. It happens. Well, that wasn't too many times. I felt like it was a lot more than that for some reason. Okay, we're almost coming to the end of this video. I'm checking it, making sure all the layers are showing that I want, making sure I have skin tone 6. Okay, now I've decided I'm going to make a tattoo, so I've opened a new layer on top of the skin layer underneath of the shirt and stuff. And I'm going to pick a brush, which I get all mine from DeviantArt. And they have GIMP brushes too, but that's a great place to search. I'm always seeing tons of them that I want, especially ones that would look good as tattoos, so they come in handy. So I'm trying to pick a tattoo here. It's going to be a wrist tattoo. A tribal one, just random, that looked okay. And then you want to pull the opacity down a little bit on tattoos because you don't want them to be too black. They have to not be as black as your clothes, usually. They're a little faded, you know. Okay. And make sure you don't have your pattern set up there. Alright, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it's helpful. Upload it to shop, and there you go. People can buy your stuff. Thanks for watching. Look for more.